US President Donald Trump, President-elect, I must add, is set to take over. And he's already making a lot of controversial statements, not just about America's politics, but foreign policy as well. For example, he intends to rename the Gulf of Mexico like we know it, and that could be called as Gulf of America here on. He's also mentioned that Panama Canal and Greenland, for economic security, need the United States of America, and possibly referring to a certain merger. Then he's also said he's not ruling out use of military force if required. He's also not shying away when it comes to a threatening nature with Canada, a neighbor country. He's saying that there are serious trade issues, and if required, economic force could be used against Canada. He anyway has said, remember, that he wants Canada to become the 51st state. Then he's added, like you see the visuals on his screen, that the rioters of the Capitol attack could also be pardoned. And then, with regard to the Israel-Hamas war, he has said, if the hostages, and these are multinational, multi-ethnicity hostages that were taken away and kidnapped by Hamas, if are not released till he takes over, then there's going to be all hell breaking loose.
We need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal. Economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. And as you see, I guess 24 or 28 people came now from the FBI. That came out very quietly. Nobody reported it, but they had people in some form related to the FBI. They had 4 or 5 people that were strongly related to the FBI. We have to find out about that. We have to find out about Hezbollah. We have to find out about who exactly was in that whole thing, because people that did some bad things were not prosecuted. You know, I see it all the time, and you see it too. People that were doing some bad things weren't prosecuted, and people that didn't even walk into the building are in jail right now. So we'll be looking at the whole thing, but I'll be making major pardons. All hell will break out. If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. They should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. And we're going to be announcing at a future date pretty soon. We're going to change, because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing, sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate.
So remember, when you're also referring to other countries, they also have something to say in return. Panama's foreign minister is reaffirming country's steadfast control over the Panama Canal, despite what appears to be threats from US President-elect. Here's what Panama has to say.
La soberanía de nuestro canal no es negociable y es parte de nuestra historia de lucha y una conquista irreversible. Nuestro canal tiene la misión de servir a la humanidad y su comercio. Ese es uno de los grandes valores que los panameños ofrecemos al mundo, dándole garantía a la comunidad internacional de no tomar parte ni ser parte activa en conflicto alguno. Las únicas manos que controlan el canal son panameñas y así seguirá siendo. Somos un país abierto al diálogo, hoy y siempre, a las inversiones y a las buenas relaciones, pero con la clara consigna que la patria está en primer lugar.
And remember, another island country that he'd mentioned was Greenland, that possibly it needs a merger again with the USA and more. amid all of this, Trump Jr. landed in Greenland. And also there was a surprise message from Donald Trump to the supporters, and Trump Jr. had quite a bunch of the MAGA supporters there on the ground. Here are visuals coming in from Junior Trump's visit and what Donald Trump has to say.
Don't be around. My son, and he's a real hunter, fisherman, all the things that you love. And I thought it'd be great to go up there with his two very talented friends and the other group, a lot of other people. So I just want to say that it's a very special place. It needs security for itself, but it also needs security very much for the world. The location really, you see the people and the ships sailing around, and they're not the right ships, and they're not the ships you want to know about. So we need security, and our country needs it, and the whole world needs it.
Yes.
You're so strategically located.
Yeah.
It's really imperative.
You are right.
I just want to thank everybody.
You guys like that, right?
India Today's Gaurav Sawant explains basically, remember, the geography, the geopolitical situation when it comes to not just Panama, but also Greenland here. It's the world's largest island. Why is it currently a flashpoint for Donald Trump?
Why is the Arctic region being talked about so extensively in the past several years now? Why is the US eyeing this region? Let's break it down for you. Now, there are reports that say that Arctic is extremely rich in natural resources that are untapped. It holds the world's 13% of undiscovered oil and 30% of untapped natural gas. So who will control these resources? Under the polar ice, there's an estimated $1 trillion worth of rare earth metals. And these are reports in the United States of America. Once this region and that polar ice is melting and melting very fast, in the past 50 years, it's down to 50%. Ice-free ocean is also opening up shorter routes, newer routes for trade, for shipping. China's talking about the polar Silk Route. And this is where the Asian markets and the Western markets, and take a look at those new routes. Who controls this territory? Who controls the routes? The borderline of the Arctic Ocean, and we want to show you that. Just look at all the countries where they are on the map. Once all this ice melts, every country gets a default maritime border of about 200 nm or nautical miles from their coast. Rest of that water, it doesn't fall into the exclusive economic zone of any country. It's up for grabs. Whoever can prove this belongs to them. Russia already arming some of this region. Russia's already planted a flag on the polar floor.
But the biggest showdown is expected with Canada, because literally there Donald Trump is saying there needs to be a merger, become the 51st state. People in Canada want it, but it looks like that the leaders of Canada, irrespective of differences in internal politics, have said that is not going to happen. And why does Donald Trump believe that Canada deserves to become now a part of the USA? It's trade issues here center stage.